powerful than ever, too, and a week of computing time on a modern laptop would take longer than the age of the universe to perform on a computer from 1959. Despite this increase in power, modern PCs have grown smaller and smaller, taking on some crazy futuristic designs. At the 2023 GITEX Expo, the computer parts company Cooler Master showcased the Sneaker X, a computer housing system that looks, well, like a sneaker. In terms of performance, a 1959 computer could process 100,000 instructions per second, whereas the Sneaker X can process over 5 billion. So the Super Sneaker is super powered, and you can't deny that it looks totally cool. Like cool, but shoot. Oh, forget it. Today, we can handle pregnancy and childbirth with a series of modern inventions, from ultrasound scanning to the pain-killing epidural. But back in the day, we had to deal with it in pretty barbaric ways, starting with the pregnancy test. When a woman is pregnant, her pee contains a reproductive hormone called HCG, which is what the modern pregnancy tests pick up. But before they became commercially available in 1978, German gynecologists Silmore Oschheim and Bernard Zondick developed another method of testing for HCG, injecting women's urine into immature female mice. In 1927, they found that if the woman was pregnant, the hormone in the urine would elicit a reproductive response in the mouse and leave a visible dot of blood on their ovaries. By checking for that blood, they could reliably tell if someone was pregnant or not. Similar tests involving rabbits and frogs were developed, and they were commonly used all over the world for decades, which was pretty cruel for the animals. But at least they paved the way for the more ethical method we use today. Testing for pregnancy wasn't always this scientific, though. In 16th century Europe, women would give their urine to mystical pea prophets who would inspect the sample. If the urine rusted a nail, changed the color of a leaf, or if the prophet claimed to see tiny living creatures within the liquid, the woman was announced pregnant. Unsurprisingly, there's no scientific evidence to back any of this up, and if you ever see little men in your pee, ladies, call a doctor. Unfortunately, this wasn't the only hokey medical treatment that people used to be subjected to, and doctors dosed their patients with this next deadly substance for centuries. In the 3rd century BC, doctors in ancient China became fascinated by the silver liquid metal mercury. China's first emperor, King Shi Huang, was told it was magical, and he used to swallow mercury pills in order to attain eternal life. But mercury is incredibly poisonous to humans, and exposure can cause insomnia, muscle weakness, and death. Still, humanity didn't learn from Huang's mistake, and the killer chemical continued to be used as a cure. Between the 17th and early 20th centuries, an incredibly popular medicine called calomel was given to sufferers of almost every ailment, from ingrown toenails to cancer. It was considered a miracle cure, but one of its main components was, you guessed it, mercury. Ingesting the white powder made people drool, vomit, and use the toilet a lot due to mercury poisoning. But doctors thought this was the sign that the body was purging itself of toxic fluids. So huge doses of the poison were prescribed, and in the 1700s, calomel was even marketed as a teething medicine for kids, called Dr. Moffat's Teethina powder. As crazy as it seems, it took us until the 1950s to realize how dangerous the shiny substance really is, and mercury is now in the World Health Organization's top 10 chemicals of major health concern. So we finally progressed far enough into the future to stop using mercury as medicine. But it's a little embarrassing that it took us over 2,200 years to figure it out.
Presence, imagination, beauty. David Yarman, Master Collection.
Feeling that your job just doesn't fit anymore? Glassdoor can help you zero in on the next step in your career so you can find a job with room to grow.
One of the biggest innovations of the 21st century is undoubtedly the 3D printer. But while these machines are best known for making plastic components and toys, some companies are trying to bring them into the kitchen. Since 2018, Redefined Meat has been trying to convert the world to vegetarianism with 100% plant-based meats that are totally 3D printed. The printing material is made from soy, pea protein, and beetroot for the color, and for the ultimate steak-like bite, they use the precision of the printers to create artificial lines of fat and blood. Just like regular 3D printing, lines of the material are extruded in layers until an object is formed, except Redefined Meat swaps the plastic filament for food. Sounds kinda gross, but if I showed you these two pictures, could you tell me which one was the fake meat? That's what I thought. With an ever-increasing global population, by 2050, food production will need to increase by 50% to avoid widespread famine. It would take a lot of cows, so Redefine Meat are hoping that plant-based 3D printed food will be a sustainable solution to the problem. As I'd grown older, I'd lost my hair, my knees are shot, and my eyesight started to fade. But now I can solve one of those problems and make my vision better than ever with a pair of smart contact lenses. In 2017, a researcher at Oregon State University called Gregory Herman wanted to find a way for diabetes sufferers to track their glucose levels without having to physically test their blood. His solution was a set of transparent sensors that could be embedded into contact lenses to monitor blood pressure, track stress levels, and detect some early risk signs of cancer, all by measuring enzyme changes in the user's tears. So far, Herman's team has developed several prototypes, but the work is still in its early stages, and as of 2025, it's considered technically infeasible, because tears aren't as reliable as blood in measuring enzymes, so more accurate sensors need to be developed. Still, that isn't the end of the road for cool contacts. As of 2025, several companies are racing to develop the first telescopic contact lens, which would allow users to manually zoom in their vision. These experimental lenses respond to electric impulses generated by eye movements, and a prototype from UC San Diego magnifies the wearer's vision by 3x when they blink twice in quick succession. Cutting onions with those on sounds like a nightmare. But at the rate that technology is developing, the zoom lenses will only get more powerful, and one concept called iLens would allow you to zoom your vision by 60x. That's powerful enough to see Saturn. And who knows, maybe someday we'll all be walking around with our very own built-in Hubble telescopes. Let's move from supervision to super grip and check out another invention that wants to turn us into cyborgs. The third thumb is a prosthetic that gives the user another opposable digit. This seems simple, but the additional thumb gives you much more dexterity, allowing you to carry out even more tasks with a single hand. It can also massively help people with disabilities, and the product's control interface is incredibly intuitive. The thumb receives commands from separate detection pads placed in a configured pair of shoes where one foot controls up and down movement and the other moves it from side to side. These commands are sent to the thumb via Bluetooth, and once the user gets the hang of the controls, it takes their hands into the space age. But do you know what's better than using three thumbs? Using no thumbs and getting robots to do all your bidding instead. Since 1992, Boston Dynamics have been developing some of the most advanced robots in the world, and their roster of robo-friends includes Handle. This machine uses legs and wheels to travel at 9 miles per hour, jump 4 feet high, and carry boxes that weigh up to 100 pounds. The 6-foot-tall robot is the ultimate factory worker, and I wouldn't want to compete against him for Employee of the Month. But Handle is just one of Boston Dynamics' robots, and the company's most advanced machine is Atlas. This electric humanoid bot is 5 feet tall, 196 pounds, and was initially designed to conduct extreme search and rescue missions that regular humans couldn't survive. But Atlas has become so versatile that it now serves as a research project to push the boundaries of what humanoid robots can achieve, and the latest iteration can run at top speeds of 5.5 miles per hour, carry items, and tear up a dance floor. Unfortunately, this little guy isn't available to purchase, so you can't take him home just yet. But fear not, other companies are making similar robots that you can buy today. This